Rogers TV, Mississauga.
Yeah, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I need 2 more. One more. 2, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. I need 1 more. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I know Pleshy's out there, but he'll come in.
Pleshy is here?
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I would like to start this council meeting, and I'd ask Councillor Foley is going to recite the prayer, and I'd ask you all to rise.
Grant us, O God, perception and patience, that justice, truth, and honesty may be evident on our planning and governing. Make us aware of the needs of each part of this regional municipality. Save us from a parochialism that divides, and so create in us a desire for responsible progress and responsible action. We pray that all our words and deeds may be in accord with Thy will, to the glory of Thy holy name. Amen.
Amen. Roll call. All members are present except Councillor Crombie. Councillor Fennell is away in other municipal business. My understanding is that she's at the funeral of the chief or the officer that lost her life in Guelph. Councillor Haynes, Councillor Yanika is absent. Mayor McCallion's away in other municipal business. Councillor McFadden is absent. Councillor Miles is absent on vacation. Councillor Paderak was here this morning.
But he's going to NEC.
Oh, going to NEC. Councillor Sato is in other municipal business. Councillor Whitehead is ill. All other members are present. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? If not, could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the Regional Council meeting held on February the 28th, 2013 be approved? Okay, Tovey and Thompson. Are there any errors or admissions? If not, all those in favor? Opposed, anybody? Motion's carried. I have a motion then by Moore and Morrison that the agenda for March the 21st, 2013 Regional Council meeting be approved. Just to make a couple comments, in the agenda there's also an in-camera report to PWD2 that if you haven't taken notice to it, you might want to look at it. And also I had asked if I saw a small map of the amendment number 1 to the Greenbelt Growing Plan, and I was going to share that with you. I think it's on its way down. Maybe when they get it here, we'll pass it out to you. All those in favor as amended? Carried. Our first delegation today is, I'd like to welcome Shelley White, who I believe is in the audience. Yes, she is. And before I asked her to come forward and make some remarks, I'd like to make a few remarks myself and then also ask David to make some remarks. This morning, actually, we're going to recognize the very success that we've had in our campaign again for 2012 by our regional employees and the Peel Regional Police, and to say that the teams, that the chairs and the vice chairs of both of those organizations had worked very hard to meet our goals this year. In fact, our employees proceeded over the goals that we had last year and did raise $350,000 for United Way. And I'm very proud to say also that the police board campaign was very successful in 2012. They also had raised over $12,000 more than they did the year before, and they also had a very impressive campaign which raised $142,000. I just want to congratulate all of our staff people and all of the people that work for the Peel Regional Police, because when we add those two numbers together, it amounts to almost $500,000 for United Way of Peel. In fact, this is great money that will go towards to help the betterment of the lives of those that are in need in our region and in our communities. Peel Chief Jennifer Evans wanted to be here today, but she is sending her regrets because she also is attending the funeral service of Constable Jennifer Kovacs this morning and is unable to be here because of that. So I'm very proud, and I would like to ask the campaign team from Peel and from police to come forward after Jennifer has spoken, and I'd like to introduce them then at that time. But again, I just want to congratulate everybody that worked tremendously in our 2012 fundraising for United Way, because things are still very much in need out there. And so with that, I'll ask David to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of Council, this is an employee-led campaign, and I really want to emphasize that it is led by employees in the organization. And in 2012, the two employees who led it were Gagan Bhuta and Juliette Walker-Miller, who we're going to embarrass in a few minutes and drag them down here. And the co-chairs were Judy Yak and Sherry Watkins. Judy couldn't be here, but Sherry's here. And Sherry and Greg Newton will lead next year's campaign, so they'll take what they learned this year and apply it next year. But really this year's, the 2012 campaign was a resounding success. Gagin and Juliette led it. As the chairman said, they exceeded their goal. It was $350,642 that they raised, and they increased the average pledge amount per employee by over 7% from the previous year. They also held two very successful fundraising events, the Region of Peel United Way Golf Tournament and the annual Run, Walk and Roll event, both of which together raised over $80,000. So along with our partners in the Peel Regional Police, as the chairman said, we raised almost $500,000 this year. It was $492,979. And in fact, Mr. Chairman and members of council, over the last 10 years, our employee-led campaign at Peel has raised over $4 million, which is, I think, a tremendous accomplishment by the staff of both the Region of Peel and the Peel Regional Police in support of people who and agencies in need in our community. So I'll hand it back to you, Mr. Chairman. Oh, I also wanted to mention, as Council knows, the United Way has a long and very positive relationship with the labour movement in Peel, and I would also like to thank the members of the various Peel labour executives for their support for this employee-led campaign in Peel this year and in previous years. So, Mr. Chairman.
Well, maybe just before I invite Shelley White to come down, maybe Constable Dan DeRuff, would you like to stand up? And I noticed that you have your inspector here with you before. I don't think he did a lot to help you in this campaign, but I know that you worked very hard with our two young ladies there, and it was remarkable in the job that you did too. So I'll ask the two of you to come down afterwards. And the other police officer we have is Inspector Paul Beattie, that's sitting up there in the audience too, and he's actually here on behalf of the chief this morning. So at this time then, Shelley, would you like to come forward and make a few comments? And I might, as she's coming down, every year a different one of the commissioners' teams actually take on the big challenge of being the team to raise these money. And it was health this year, so I'm going to ask Commissioner Smith to come up when we take the photographs, because she did a lot of hard work and made sure that her team got the job done. So, Shelley, I'll turn it over to you first.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Kolb, members of council, Region of Peel, and Peel Regional Police employees, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for setting aside time on your agenda to provide us with the opportunity to celebrate your resounding success with your United Way campaign, and also to thank you for your tremendous commitment to the United Way and to our community. I'm here with my colleagues, Anya Kordiak, our Chief Development Officer, and Raj Tendengra, our Resource Development Manager, to thank you and to celebrate. As you've said, the Region of Peel and Peel Regional Police have been United Way supporters for more than 40 years. And through your United Way 2012 campaign, you have continued to demonstrate your ongoing commitment to the residents of Peel. Through your campaign efforts and contributions, you are helping to move people from poverty to possibility, helping our kids to be everything that they can be, and building strong communities and healthy people. And the Region of Peel and Peel Regional Police are truly change champions. Change starts here. Change starts with each and every one of you. I'd like to thank Chair Kolb and CAO David Swark, not just for their support, such as providing our 3 loaned representatives, sponsored representatives, but also rolling up your sleeves and donning your aprons and serving up food at the barbecues and working side by side with Judette and Gagan and their committee on the various kickoff events and various events throughout the United Way campaign. I'd also like to pay special tribute to Jeanette Smith, Commissioner of Health Services, for her tremendous leadership and for supporting Gagan and Judette and the committee in their efforts. And of course, a very, very special thank you to Gagan Buttar and Judette Walker-Miller, the 2012 Employee Campaign Chairs, for their leadership, their dedication, their sleepless nights, and tireless efforts uniting everyone at the region at events throughout the year in the United Way campaign. I'd also like to recognize and thank in advance Commissioner Dan Lebrecq for stepping into the senior leadership role, and his two chairs for the 2013 campaign, Sherry Watkins and Greg Newton, for continuing the legacy of many great past campaigns. We look forward to working with you and supporting you in your success as well. And on a personal note, I'd like to say how special it is to me that in my 10th year with the United Way, I have the opportunity to work with Dan Lebrecq, who was the chair of the board when the board hired me to work for the United Way. We're also extremely fortunate to have Steve Hall, Director of Real Property Asset Management, who served on our campaign cabinet. And Steve has been a long-term and very special volunteer for the leadership volunteer with the United Way. And this year on the campaign cabinet, once again, he provided strategic vision and helped us to engage important organizations in this year's campaign. So Steve, thank you very, very much. We'd also like to thank Harriet McLaughlin, event manager extraordinaire, for hosting the region's two signature events, the golf tournament and the walk, run, and roll. Now, I can't promise you that my golf game has improved, but I look forward to teeing off with all of you at the end of May. These are excellent events, and we're working closely with the committee to support you in any way we can. We hope to fill both of the courses at Lionhead. I commend and applaud the committee for establishing the online registration system for the Walk, Run, and Roll and for opening it up to the community. Despite the crummy weather, it was an event that there was lots of spirit and lots of energy, and it was fun to see all the participants in their costumes. And we're planning our costumes already, so we're really looking forward to that. Peel Regional Police is also a critical partner in the Region of Peel campaign, and we must acknowledge Peel Regional Police Chief Jennifer Evans and her team for their dedication and support. We appreciate her battling one of the worst winter storms this year by attending our Community Achievement Celebration to personally hand out Spirit Awards. We'd like to thank Superintendent Dave Jarvis and Inspector Sam Chechia for their planning, motivation, and enhancing the Peel Regional Police 2012 campaign, and also recognize and thank Peel Regional Police Loaned Representative in 2000 and Chair, Constable Dan Dimitrov, for engaging all the employees across the various shifts to exceed their goal this year. Thank you so much. And to Carrie Lynn Holmes, who I believe is in Australia. Lucky girl. We'd like to thank her for the tremendous support that she brought to the civilian team and for her enthusiasm. To all the teams, to labor across the region and the police force, thank you not just for hosting department events, but for taking part of them. And thank you to the over 200 volunteer champions for putting the fun back into fundraising so the campaign could reach its potential. We'd like to extend our sincere thanks to every single Region of Peel employee and the unions who volunteered and donated their time and funds to make the campaign such an outstanding success. The Region of Peel is an outstanding organization which is committed to creating opportunities for everyone living in Caledon, Brampton, and Mississauga to have an opportunity at a better life. And at the United Way of Peel Region, we feel so fortunate to work with such a tremendous organization on so many collaborations that are improving the health and well-being of residents in Peel. Thank you very, very much for your ongoing, outstanding commitment to the United Way, and we look forward to continuing to work in partnership with you and another successful campaign in 2013. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shelley. And I'd like to ask the team then to come forward, both from the police and from the region. And I'd ask Jeanette and David to join us for presenting the check to Shelley. Thank you. Okay, moving on then to reports. The first report then is Public Works today, and I'll move it over to the chair to run us through.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. PWA 1, supply, delivery, installation, maintenance, support of non-emergency user radio accessories. Moved by Councillor Starr, second by Councillor Tovey. No questions. All in favor? Transportation, PWB 1, report on Ontario roads, ad hoc steering committee. Moved by Mayor Morrison and seconded by Councillor Moore. All in favor? Carried. PWB 2, Peel Goods Movement Strategic Plan, and it's for information only, and there's an addendum that came in your file that's on top of your desk if you haven't looked at it. Moved by Councillor Nika, second by Councillor Mahoney. All in favor? Carried. The upgrade for recycled aggregates in regional road construction, for information only, moved by Councillor Sanderson and Councillor Sprovieri. Councillor Paleshi.
Not on this one. Can we go back to the Arterial Road?
Sure. Okay. So all in favor of this report? Okay. Thank you. Carried. Councillor Paleshi. Can you turn your mic on? We can't hear you, Paul.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that it wasn't on. It is now. On this item here, can I ask staff, is this the one that's coming back on May the 9th? There's a full report coming back?
What's, through you, Mr. Chairman, the direction from the committee was to work with the area municipalities to bring the financial information back to a workshop of the committee in May. It says May 16th in here, so I think
sorry.
that's the meeting.
Then this isn't the item then. Sorry. It has to do with the other, with the roads, and I had a question on that. I'll wait till question period.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. We'll go on to waste management. PWC 1, moved by Councillor Sanderson and second by Councillor Crombie. All in favor? Carried. We'll move on to the wastewater. PWD 1, concerning the Gordon Woods community, and I do believe staff want to give an update on that.
Yeah, if I could, Mr. Chairman, just on D15, in the first paragraph, the last sentence, I just wanted to bring a little clarity. The report could have been, you could read it two different ways, and I want council to be aware. When we talk about the costs that could be incorporated into the ultimate local improvement process, doesn't infer that we'll actually recover all those monies. In a lot of cases, the region's contribution to a local improvement is significant, and really the direction of the report is to avoid having to fund a $2 million extra investment in a pumping station. So I just didn't want you to infer that we're going to get $750,000 100% back from the residents. That'll be part of whatever ultimate local improvement petition comes forward.
Okay. Councillor Nika.
I appreciate the clarification, but even more so, I really appreciate the work that staff did on this. And you may be surprised to learn I mentioned it to my council colleagues. This is the community that leads into Mississauga from the QEW and Highway 10, and its core area is still not on sanitary sewers.
Yeah, I found that
big
out.
estate lots, and one of the reasons was it was hard to get into the core, and somebody's come forward to develop their land in lots, and we finally have access from a service road into the community. That was the one piece of good news. The second piece of good news is we learned that our grand old friend Gravity will allow us to do what we need to do so we don't have to spend a fortune on pumping stations. And it was a very tumultuous route that got us here. So I really have to praise the regional staff that understood the bigger issues at play here, and my staff at the city and the landowners, that this is 50 years in the making, and we're finally there, and we'll be going to public meetings to explain it and detail it, follow-up public meetings with the residents. But it's a big day for that community, and it wouldn't have happened without the way the regional staff handled it, the city staff handled it, the private landowner handled it, and the community handled it. So my thanks to all. Thank you.
You want to move the report?
Happy to do so.
Councillor Starr, do you want to second that? Okay. No further questions. All in favor? And do we need to do this? We're doing both. Can we move the report in this together? Or do I have to have two separate motions on the report and the motion? That's okay. I'm just making sure before I get running ahead of myself. PWD2 is the direct negotiation on laboratory services, and you did see the in-camera report. If anybody hasn't got a problem, moved by Councillor Mahoney, seconded by Councillor Fonseca. All in favor? Carried. Water PWE1, water treatment quality for information. Yes, I assume we're moving the in-camera report as well. Yes. PWE1, moved by Councillor Paleshi and Councillor Mullen. For information only. All in favor? Carried. And communications, moved by Councillor Anika and Councillor Foley. All in favor? Carried. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on then to health. Councillor Moore.
Members of Council, the first item on the agenda is HEA 1, the Service Accountability Agreement. Would someone like to move it? Councillor Mullen, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. I understand from the report that there were no problems that arose during the 2010 to 2013, except that if you read the report, it really it doesn't put us in a. I mean, we're really in a negative situation in my view. I mean, the ability to impose additional obligations without any corresponding obligation to provide additional funding could require increased regional expenditures without the benefit of appropriate budget planning. It just seems that the LHINs can, under their sole discretion, to determine whether a health service provider has breached the agreement, therefore can terminate the funding at any time. I mean, there's something, in my view, wrong with this kind of a partnership, if that's what it is. And I read the report. I understand there have been no problems, but it certainly, in my view, puts it at a disadvantage. There's something wrong here, in my view, and I just want to express that.
Councillor Mullen, did you want the Commissioner to
Yeah, I'd like to hear, again, I read the report. I understand, I mean, and probably there's been no problems because of our staff and the way we deal with problems. But what happens if there actually was? And it just puts us, in my view, at a real disadvantage. I mean, this is supposed to be a very important partnership, I would think, and it just it leaves me, quite frankly, with a bad taste in my mouth.
Commissioner Smith?
Yeah. Through members of council, through the Madam Chair. Yeah, I mean, I think in general across the province and the federal government, and we're doing it with agencies we fund, there is a trend to having very tight accountability agreements to ensure people are meeting the requirements for the funding they're given. We're doing it with groups we fund as well. The challenge with the accountability agreements is the LHIN is trying to, and the province are doing it with multiple providers. So for long-term care, they have to have an agreement that's going to cover municipal operators, nonprofit, and private. So some of the things we would think as a level of government you don't need to put in an agreement, but it's a standard agreement and you may need it for the private sector or the nonprofit sector who aren't a level of government. So, put it in perspective, they're trying to get one agreement for all those. In working with legal, and Patrick's here today, we want to be upfront with you what the potential worst case scenario with it, but it isn't how the LHIN operates. I mean, we meet with them regularly. One of those meetings is Chair Kolb and David Schwark and I meet with both LHIN board CEOs and chairs, and we talk about issues, do forward planning, etc. So certainly, while there is the worst case scenario, the way the report's laid out, I don't have any concerns that they are ever going to use those powers to do anything arbitrary or last minute. We do planning with them. If either of us have concerns, we raise them up front. But we felt it was necessary to just put it out there. But we don't have any concerns, and we've never seen the LHIN take these kind of powers and use them in the way they technically could in the agreement.
David, did you want to try? Patrick, is there anything you want to add? Okay.
Well, I thank her for the explanation. I guess there's certain wordage there, powers and discretion. It just doesn't ring to a healthy, in my view, environment, and rings a little bit like the Ontario Municipal Board, and that bothers me as well. In any case, I will move the recommendation reluctantly.
Thank you. I'm looking for a seconder for the report. Councillor Crombie, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The second item is the 2012 Long-Term Care Resident Satisfaction Survey results. Would someone like to move and second? Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Sprovieri. Seeing no questions, all those in favor? That's carried. The next item on the agenda is building healthy workforce capacity. It's a good news. We're getting a check. That's always good, as long as it doesn't cost us more than the value of the check. Moved by Councillor Fonseca, seconded by Councillor Dale. All those in favor? That's carried. And I think that's just about it. Councillor Mullen.
I'm sorry, where did I not read somewhere in the agenda about the funding, or maybe it was an email from the Commissioner with regards to the funding that there has been with regards to long-term care, and that we are now Oh, sorry. I understand it's a confidential memo. So is there going to be a report on that at some point that we can speak to?
Through the chair to members of council. I did bring a report last fall that spoke to the new CMI funding model. This was just an update to say that we had some additional information. We can bring a report if council would like at a future meeting and give you the outcome of the discussions. Things are going very well with the plans.
They are going well? Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
It's okay. Thank you. There is one item of communication. It is here for receipt, moved by Councillor Mahoney, seconded by Councillor Mayor Morrison. All in favor? Councillor Sanderson, you have a question?
Communication there?
The communication, of course you
Yeah,
can.
that's an item that we talked about at our own council yesterday regarding the prohibiting smoking in the areas where children play, entrance at municipal buildings and all that kind of stuff. And it was brought up at our council regarding the bus shelters, that apparently if it's on a road allowance, it's not illegal to smoke in a bus shelter. It doesn't make any sense at all. So is there anything that we can do about that, or can we go to the province regarding that as a region so that all municipalities are caught up in it?
I'd ask staff if you want to respond to that.
Through you, Chair Cole, to members of council. I need to go back and look because not sure that is true, but I need to go in and look at it further just to make sure before we make any comments, and we can clarify that.
Okay, that'd be good if we can get a report back on that.
Patrick?
Yeah, and our staff will be following up with you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I might be of assistance. The enabling statute, that permits us to pass this bylaw contains a restriction that doesn't permit us to pass the bylaw on road allowances. So a change would have to be obtained through the province through a statutory amendment.
So if you want a good example of that, it's if you drove by Mayfield School, they're all out on the road allowance. If you drove by Robert F. Hall, they're all out on the road allowance. They're not on the parking lot.
I completely understand that if they're standing out in the open air. But if we put a bus shelter in, we should have some jurisdiction over that bus shelter that they can't smoke in the shelter. That's what I'm looking for, Jeanette. Thank you.
Patrick, do you want to take it under advisement?
And I know the staff at the City of Brampton will be circling back with you on that because it was raised yesterday. So, thank you.
Okay. Moving then on to Human Services, Councillor Pelletier.
Just get to it.
If I may just suggest to you that we should really deal with item HSB1 before we deal with HSA1.
You read my mind. I already have it switched.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell committee that we're dealing with HSB1 first. It's here for information. It's moved by Councillor Fonseca and seconded by Councillor Foley. Is there any comments or questions? Councillor Mullen.
Mine's on the other one.
Oh,
HSE
okay.
one.
No questions on that. All those in favor? Oh, sorry.
Oh, I went and pushed the wrong button.
Mayor Morrison.
Thank you. I understand the report, but at our Economic Development Committee yesterday, and also from a service provider within our municipality, they were telling me that the federal government had a program for trying to help immigrants get jobs in the community and get into the community and that sort of thing, and that the funding isn't coming the way everyone thought it was going to come. Do we know anything about that?
Through Chair Paleshi, yes. And that, in essence, is
what this is about.
It's one of the implications of the changes that have happened at the federal level. The federal funding is now distributed based on the numbers going into each province. And the numbers into the province of Ontario have declined. So that has resulted in decreased funding coming into the province of Ontario. Despite the fact that the population growth driven by immigration continues to go up it's leveled in Peel, but it's still high. It hasn't gone down. Peel has lost funding. So in fact, in 2011-12, settlement and integration funding went from $64 million down to $47 million in Peel. So that is a 27% decline compared to a 16% decline in funding for Ontario. So we have been hit within the region of Peel as a result of those changes. And it's because they haven't taken account within Ontario of the differences in immigration levels.
Yeah,
And
David.
what are we going to do about it?
David or Paul? David would like to speak.
Oh, sorry, okay. Or Paul, you said, and I'm going, well, Paul wants to speak.
No, you're chairing this.
David,
Just
sorry.
trying to get your attention.
The issue seems to be
He
that
didn't push his button either, I noticed.
Yes.
I did have, but it's good. The federal government has a fixed pot of money, and it is distributing it across the provinces based on the gross movement of immigrants into those provinces. So although immigration in Peel continues to grow, or is at least remaining stable, it's still coming in at a high level. Overall in Ontario, the numbers are, the trend is down compared to, say, Alberta or Saskatchewan or some of the other provinces, which means that the federal government is just moving the money out of Ontario to another province. And that's the simple explanation.
Well, maybe what we need to do, though, is explain to, I mean, if Peel is receiving the same number of immigrants, which is more than other areas, and other areas within Ontario has less, then Peel should be getting those dollars that the other areas used to get.
Well, they're not moving to townhouses.
Yeah, if I can comment, because there are some things that we are doing. Firstly, we support the Peel Newcomer Strategy Group within the region of Peel, and there are members of council that sit on that committee. That task force has all of the stakeholders, so the providers of settlement and integration services around the table and the funders, and we're trying to work with that community to be more efficient and effective so that the money that we do get is value added. So we play a facilitation role with that group, and there's an advocacy component as well. We also sit on the Municipal Immigration Committee. I myself sit on that committee. When the Canada-Ontario Immigration Agreement ended, and the federal government isn't entering into new agreements with provinces. When that ended, the requirement to involve municipalities ended within the province of Ontario. Despite there not being a requirement, the federal government and the provincial government have agreed to continue involvement through AMO. And so municipalities are meeting regularly. There's a meeting actually next week, and we had one late in 2012. So we're meeting. Our strategy is to influence policy in a positive way through input and collaboration and discussion. And I think over the past several years we have had some success in influencing policy. So really, we don't play a formal role in immigration. Those responsibilities rest with the provincial government and the federal government. But we recognize that immigration has major implications for municipalities, both the region and local tiers. So we're doing what we can through collaboration and persuasion.
I mean, it even, I mean, it's the federal government that sets the immigration policies. And, I mean, we all want the new immigrants into our communities to be successful and to learn English and to get jobs and to be a major part of our economy. And we see many success stories. So I would think it would behoove the federal government to continue funding the things that will make that happen. You can't plunk people in and just leave them. That doesn't work. So anyway, I know you know that. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? That was moved by Councillor Foley and Councillor Fonseca. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The next item is item HSA1, recent changes to the interim federal health program, IFHP, and it's here for information. It's moved by Councillor Yanika, seconded by Councillor Crombie. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's carried. I pass it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on then to management, Councillor Fonseca.
There we go. Okay. So first item, MAA1, Region of Peel Sustainable Development Guidelines, and this is for information, and it's been brought back based on Council's request for further information. Councillor Mullen.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and I think this is a good report. It would be my suggestion that the CAs be part of the terms of reference as well, but I will move receipt of the report.
Going up. No further questions. So move receipt by Councillor Mullen, seconded by Councillor Sanderson. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Okay, MAA2, Greenland System Policy Implications on Property Assessment, and this is for information. Any questions? No. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Paleshi. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, carried. MAA3 is Growing the Greenbelt, Amendment 1 to the Greenbelt Plan, and Chair Kolb has also handed out a map which actually puts much greater context to the report. It shows how the River Valley connections in the urban areas are now going to be protected. I'd like to move forwards items of correspondence, MAD1. Can I move it all together?
Sure.
Is that okay?
But do you have a question for Mayor Morrison?
Oh, Mayor Morrison, yes.
I'm sorry, it was back on MAA2 8.
Okay.
And when I'm looking at the Managed Forest Tax Incentive Program participation in the Peel region, I look at 2008, and I see there's 221 properties, I guess 11,252.6 acres, and then in 2009 it was to 10,740.3, acres, and yet there's more properties, and then 2010, it jumps up to 12,000. Did we mix the numbers up, or how did we lose managed forests? Did somebody come along and cut it down and we didn't know? Because we don't let that happen.
Norma, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I'll have to look into
Look at-
that and get back to you.
So we can add that
Okay.
add that as direction?
Okay, thank you.
But I just asked Norma, when you're looking that up, if some got appealed and they actually changed the numbers or not, might be also the way to determine what the answer to that is.
Yeah, I'll have to follow up with MPAC because it's MPAC data.
Yes, yeah.
But it's just that if you look at the number of properties, they increased by quite a bit, from 207 to 221, and yet the acreage went up there, but then it went down, 221 to 229, so it increased again, but the acreage went down. That didn't make sense to me, so thank you.
Okay, Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I think I can maybe answer. I think my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I read it was, if you read through the report, is I think that some of the land that has been taken in the Greenland securement is taken out of one and moved into the other.
Oh, okay.
And I do believe that's what it is. So when they go back and check it, I think that's what the differential is.
David, did you have...
Sorry, I'm not sure that the chart's reading in that the acreage is cumulative year over year. Is this the activity within the year, or is it a cumulative year over year? Yeah, so if it's cumulative, it's the size of the acreage per property. But we can report back on it.
So we'll bring back clarification on that through MPAC. Okay, thank you. So back to MAA3, including the map and also moving forward the two items of correspondence related to this item, MAD1 and MAD4. No questions. So moved by Councillor Dale, seconded by Councillor Foley. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, carried. MAA4 is the transfer of Region of Peel federal gas tax allocation. Moved by Councillor Mullen, seconded by Councillor Moore. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. MAA5 is the 2012 Statement of Remuneration and Expenses. This is for information. Seeing no questions, moved by Councillor Yanika, seconded by Councillor Mahoney. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. MAA6 is response to Regional Council request for additional information regarding the Focus GTA semi-annual survey. This is also for information. Moved by Councillor Paleshi, seconded by Councillor Starr. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. The next item, MAA7, we do have a presentation. This is Let Your Green Show, Phase 2 campaign launch. Simone, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of Regional Council. My name is Simone Bands, and I'm here today on behalf of the partners of the Climate Change Strategy to share with you the progress we have made to increase public awareness around the climate change strategy for the geographic region of Peel. Goal 5 of the Climate Change Strategy focuses on increasing public awareness and the level of engagement throughout Peel. The partners in the climate change strategy shown on this slide have been diligently working to advance numerous initiatives to reduce our impact on the environment. Collectively, we have focused our outreach efforts on the Let Your Green Show public awareness campaign as a means of getting the message about climate change out to a wider audience. The Let Your Green Show campaign is designed to make the climate change strategy real for people. By promoting living green, we shift the focus from the doom and gloom messaging often associated with the topic of climate change and focus on inspiring our target audience, young families, to live more sustainably by engaging in select activities. Changing behavior is extremely difficult, and therefore influencing the daily behavior of Peel residents and businesses is essential to achieving many of the goals of our strategy. The campaign focuses on building civic pride and a sense of community so that residents are inspired and want to be involved in making a difference by living green. We worked with a consultant to help determine how best to focus our external outreach. Their expertise highlighted the importance of breaking living green down into pragmatic and easily achievable steps, and the need to focus on a few key actions at a time. Our multi-phased approach to Let Your Green Show is based on that expertise. For each phase, we highlight a handful of simple, practical actions that can make a big difference over time. Oops. Realizing that we couldn't cover all of the actions of the climate change strategy at once, however, driven by a sense of urgency that we wanted to provide people with advice sooner than later, the campaign has been designed to launch in 3 phases with the idea that we could continue to add to the campaign over a number of years. Phase 1, Grow Local, Eat Local, launched last summer, July 1st, 2012, and went till October 31st, 2012. Phase 2 is focused on using less water, and that will launch tomorrow. And Phase 3 is focused on giving your car a break, and that is tentatively set for fall 2013. At the heart of the campaign is the theme that if you do something for the environment, you will get a reward and the sense of satisfaction that comes from helping to turn your neighborhood green and reduce your impact on the environment. How we get people into the program is to draw visitors to the website, where they are asked to register by providing minimal personal information. Once visitors have registered, they pick an action they are prepared to complete, and then they pick a reward they would like to receive for their commitment to live more sustainably. We call the rewards greenbacks. Similar to Brampton's Good Neighbors Great Neighborhoods Award, Caledon and Mississauga residents will be participating in turning their wards green in hopes of winning the Greenest Ward Award Challenge. Residents are encouraged to perform multiple actions because their actions are tallied to determine the greenest ward in each municipality. Phase 1 was a pilot in Mississauga, where Mississauga residents were challenged to grow local and eat local by either visiting a grown and Peel farm, greenhouse, or nursery, visiting a farmer's market in Mississauga, or planting something. For taking one of these actions, visitors were offered an incentive, a greenback, chosen from one of the following: $5 off a purchase from a Mississauga farmer's market, $5 off a purchase from a grown and Peel farm, nursery, or greenhouse, $5 off a purchase of a rain barrel from the region of Peel, or a free 1-hour organic vegetable garden consultation. Based on the pilot, the most popular greenback was $5 off a farmer's market in Mississauga. 498 users registered on the site and performed 665 actions. And the greenest ward in Mississauga goes to Ward 1, Councillor Tovey's ward. Ward 1 residents. Shall we pause for a moment of quiet applause? I think there's a challenge. I hear Ward 2 being referred to. Ward 1 residents performed the most actions to turn their neighborhood green. The award was presented at Mississauga City Council on November 22, 2012. A celebration is scheduled for March 22nd at the Port Credit Skating Rink. This is also where we will officially launch Phase 2 of the campaign, and the website will go live. Phase 2 focuses on using less water. Most residents consider water an abundant resource in Peel. By encouraging residents to use less water, we not only highlight the need to preserve this resource, but we also make the connection that the distribution and treatment of water produces greenhouse gas emissions, largely through the energy needed to treat water. Water conservation is a way to reduce our impact on the environment. As part of this awareness campaign, Peel residents will be encouraged to install a high-efficiency showerhead, grow a plant that requires little water, install a water-efficient toilet, use a rain barrel, or check their home for leaks. In return for committing to take part in an action, residents in Peel are given a choice of the type of reward they wish to receive. You can see from the list on the screen that many of the greenbacks reinforce actions to use less water. Other greenbacks are intended to reinforce healthy lifestyles and interactions with natural spaces. Cashing in the greenback is a win-win for our campaign because rain barrels reduce water used for gardening. Community centres and conservation area passes promote active living and family outings with the low environmental impact. Nursery coupons are designed to promote the purchase of low-maintenance plants, and veggie seed packets and farmer market coupons promote growing and eating local foods. Here we have a static image of the Let Your Green Show landing page. You will note that Phase 2 is highlighted. From here, visitors are directed to the registration page, and over time they can see how their ward is progressing towards turning green. This is the prototype of the map residents will see. By hovering the cursor over the ward that residents live in, visitors to the site will be able to see the number of registered users and the number of actions they have performed. Here are two of the posters that will be on display throughout the campaign in various locations, community centres, libraries, and municipal offices. Let Your Green Show Phase 2 will be officially launched on March 22nd in Mississauga to coincide with World Water Day. Residents of Ward 1 have been invited to a skating party at the Port Credit Arena to join Councillor Tovey in recognizing his ward as the greenest in Mississauga. The campaign will also be seen at various community events across Peel throughout the spring and summer. Our goal with the Let Your Green Show campaign is to foster a culture of conservation in Peel. We know that it'll take time, but focusing on small practical steps that people won't find overwhelming, we can start to shift behaviors and build on our successes over time to inspire greener lifestyles. As part of mobilizing residents, we ask councillors to use their networks to get the message out to the public. Blogs, tweets, and Facebook likes are always welcome. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I'd be pleased to answer them.
Thank you, Simone. Yeah, Phase 1 was quite successful and definitely created some wonderful competition between the wards in Mississauga. I think feedback from residents also was the interactive map, and seeing the map go greener and greener was something that I know a lot of youth really enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. So hopefully Phase 2 will spark the same excitement and competition between we'll put the challenge out there now. Mm-hmm. Councillor Tovey.
Yes, thank you. That's good feedback. Yeah, actually, I was just about to do that, Councillor Fonseca. Thank you very much. You know, it was really a lot of fun. Our residents really got into it. They had a lot of fun with it, and of course, they're all like just chest pumping proud right now. So I think Friday night's going to be a lot of fun. Port Credit Arena. If you show that, can you show that Port Credit Arena photo again? There. Okay. So it's actually been restored. This is an old photograph. Mm-hmm. So where you see the white now is all this beautiful cedar. It's all been completely redone. So it's a gorgeous vaulted roof. It's a beautiful location. And we've got 11 different displays coming. Even the Cloverleaf Garden Club is coming, which I'm really excited about because they've been greening my ward for 69 years, 70 years next year for the Cloverleaf Garden Club. And they do plant a lot of community gardens, and they're just amazing. The Peel Environmental Youth Group is coming. And the other thing that I really like about this project, because I don't like to spend money, is the partnership is phenomenal. We've managed to leverage, you know, the different municipalities and the region of Peel to just chip in a little bit, and it's really created a lot more of a buzz. Is there going to be a greenest ward for the entire region?
Through the chairman, that may be something we can look at.
I think we should.
That'll be a very interesting competition.
Yeah, because my residents want to win it every year, so. Yeah, but it's how much you save. Yeah, and actually, and particularly the water side is really, really critically important because our Great Lakes levels are at historic lows. Last year was one of the lowest, second lowest year ever recorded in the Great Lakes since 1860. So that's phenomenal. And I'm going to the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Cities Initiative, and the conference this year is all about water levels. So it's quite remarkable. So I would like to challenge everybody, see how green you people can get, and see who gets bragging rights for next year. So great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tovey. Chair Kolb.
I don't know whether it still is or not, but I thought that this was the only arena left that I know of that has their own community board that still runs it.
Yes.
That's Streets.
Oh, Streets will do, and not Port Craig anymore. Be interested if you advertise that because people like Dick Pallett used to play hockey and stuff in there.
Yeah, I played across there.
Yeah. Okay.
Councillor.
Yeah, I played there the year it was open.
Streetsville? Oh, I see the competition heating up already as you speak. Councillor Foley.
Okay, Jim, you're on. I'm just wondering, what if I get this question, what if someone is such an amazing environmental steward that if you look, for example, at the page that listed the 5 actions under using less water, has already done all of those? Do they have to do them after the contest starts?
Through the chair. I'm sure that several of the actions are ones that green-minded individuals have already been taking part in. The campaign works on the honor system. We picked incentives that reinforce the activities that we would like to have people taking part in. And because of that, if someone feels that they have already done all these things and they're a good environmental steward, then the incentives kind of reward that behavior.
Right.
And we're not policing the incentive program because it really was designed to help further the campaign. So,
Okay, thank you very much, Simone. Great job. This is very exciting.
thank you. And I would like just to mention that my colleague from Mississauga, Brenda Osborne, is also in the audience, along with a number of other people that helped develop the campaign, because it is it's a big collaboration, and that's partly why we think it's going to be successful, because we have all of the partners for the climate change strategy participating at this point, and that brings together 6 organizations and gives us a lot more coverage.
Very exciting. Okay, Chair Kolb.
Produced 10% less water in 2012 than we did the year before. So we're already there in the water side.
Thank you, Simone, for being here. As you can see, very competitive group. So excited to see how Phase 2 goes. And Brenda, thank you for being here as well, and all others that are here from the campaign. So we'll have Councillor Foley and Councillor Tovey move the report. All in favor? Oh, and the presentation. Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. On to MAA8, which is the report of the Region of Peel Accessibility Advisory Committee. Seeing no questions, moved by Councillor Mahoney and seconded by Councillor Thompson. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moving on to Employee and Business Services. MAB1 is Professional Technical Services to update the Human Resource Management Systems. No questions. Moved by Councillor Tovey, seconded by Councillor Sprovieri. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. MAB1 is a Public Sector Network Update and Budget. Seeing no questions, moved by Councillor Crombie, seconded by Councillor Carlson. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. So we had a presentation, MAC1. We had the presentation here with Shelley White. Congratulations again to Region of Peel staff, employees. But to formally move the delegation and the report, we'll move by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Mullen. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Items of communication, we'll move MAD2 and MAD3 and MAD5 together. They're all for receipt. Moved by Councillor Pleshy, seconded by Councillor Mullen. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. And back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Moving on to bylaws. The first one, the motion then by Carlson and Dale that our first bylaw that Len Gardner, Supervisor Road Operator and Maintenance, and John Cope, Supervisor Road and Operate and Maintenance, be appointed as the Region of Peel Area Weed Inspector in accordance with Section 6.1 and Weed Control Act RSO 1990, Chapter W5, and further that the Commissioner of Public Works be delegated authority to appoint area weed inspectors in accordance with the Weed Control Act, Chapter 5, and present bylaw in this regard, and further that the necessary bylaw be presented in it for enactment, and further that the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs be so advised. Are there any questions? If not, all those in favor? Opposed, anybody? Motion's carried. Moving then, I have a motion then by Crombie and Dale that the bylaws listed on Regional Council agenda, being bylaws 27-213 and 28-213, be given the required numbers of reading, taken as read, signed by the regional chair and the regional clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Are there any questions? If not, all of those in favor? All those in favor, carried. Moving then to other business, Councillor Pleshy, you had a question you want to ask.
I did, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to deal with staff, but if we're going to go into Peel Living, then I'm going to have to ask staff to wait, or I'll ask the question now.
You can ask the question now.
It's the item that I thought was coming back. It was the road characterization study that's coming back on May the 9th. And I have a situation on Mayfield Road where for a year we've been working on getting the speed limit dropped going through a residential area. The region staff told me back in the fall that it would be done in February and the signage would be up. Yesterday, I got an email from staff because I had inquired for residents as soon as I got back from holidays why the signage isn't there. And our staff have said the reason being is they're waiting for the road characterization study to come back on May the 9th so that they can deal with them both at the same time. And I absolutely disagree with that. It's a decision's been made. Staff support the reduction of the speed limit. The residents have been waiting. It's over a year and a half, and quite frankly, I sent you guys emails, Damien. I sent the chair an email yesterday saying I'm extremely disappointed. I don't like going to the residents and telling them this is what we're going to do because that's what I was told we're going to do, and then I have to go back to the residents now and apologize to them because I'm not, because we're waiting for some report to come in May on a whole road characterization study. No matter what happens on that, whether we defer it, deal with it that day or not, the speed limit is still to be set at 60 kilometers going through the residential area. And I don't understand why we're waiting for it. And I thought that was on, and I apologize for that, Mr. Chairman, for not being on it, but I sent you a copy today also, or an email yesterday, saying that I was disappointed. When regional staff tell me something, that's what I relay to the residents. Then when regional staff, it's me to find out why the speed limits weren't put up in February like they were supposed to be. And then they come back and say, oh, not knowing, nobody notified me, that we've decided to wait until a report comes back on May the 9th. And quite frankly, to me, that's not good enough. And it shouldn't happen that way, and I want the speed limits up now. My memo yesterday was, I'm sure, but I said they better be up in May. I've asked them to change, staff have said, no, we're not. We are waiting for the report. And I said, fine, then the speed limits better be up in May, if that's why I can't get it. But I still disagree with it, and I said yesterday very nicely, I'm still disappointed, and shame on me for believing what the staff said, and me telling the residents that. And so I'm putting a call through today to the residents, unless something's done, to say that the signage is going up now. It's all approved, it's all ready to go, as far as I know.
So I'm sorry, Paul, that I haven't seen your email yet.
That's fine, Mr.
But
it was late yesterday afternoon, but finally, the last one that I sent to staff, I copied you on, saying, you know what, I've had it, type of thing. Shame on me. And I said, shame on me for believing what staff said and telling residents that.
Okay. Do we need a bylaw for that then to happen, or is it already done?
No, through you, Mr. Chairman, to Councilor Leslie, my apology. I talked to staff. The report, the request came last fall. We did the investigation, and the report is just about ready to, it's complete, just about complete to come to council. We have to come to council to get council approval to reduce the speed. It's a Bayfield and Snellgrove area. And the reason that we held back, not presented to council, is that we want to, from a sequential perspective, since the road characterization for that particular section of Mayfield, I believe, if I recall, is being classified as suburban commercial, and the speed is in keeping with the 60. So it makes it that the two kind of support each other, give a bit of additional value and additional justification. We felt that, if it falls, the road characterization study will add value to the request to reduce the speed. But the report is just about complete. We can come, we're targeted to be May the 9th at the same time as the report. They could go independently, so the one doesn't rely on the other. We can bring it earlier than May the 9th, if it's possible, but the target is to be May the 9th, and that was the reasons as to why we held it back. So my apologies, and I explained to, I guess, by email to Councilor Palashi, but if it's an opportunity to bring it earlier, we'll be able to.
Well, what we could do is we could move in to do Peel Living, and we need a bylaw to do it. Maybe staff could prepare the bylaw. If you're saying the report is supporting it anyhow, I don't think this council is going to vote against that. So we could do the bylaw and we could put the signs up. This is what I see we can do. So if you want to wait until could we prepare that bylaw? Do we know the information from it?
Well, if legally we can't, I mean, I'm not going to put Patrick or anybody in a position, but I would absolutely like it to come to the next, it's not a big deal. Could it come to the next regional council meeting rather than waiting? But my understanding is the reason it's not coming to April 25th was the excuse I was given was because we're dealing with Peel Living issues. And so we don't want anything on the agenda that day. Yeah, that's fine if that's the case.
I just got an email from staff where we can bring it back April 25th if clerk and can.
It's March 20. Do we not have a regional council meeting until April the 25th?
April the 11th.
Can it not come April the 11th? And then at least the signs be up by the end of April? Or do we have to wait for an appeal on a bylaw like that? No. So if the bylaw is passed on the 11th, the signs could go up immediately?
So we could ask clerks if we can put the report as part of the 11th agenda?
Yes, we can do that.
You know what? Okay. Well, it's better than nothing, and I want to correct you. This didn't start in the fall. This started over a year ago. It was way back in the spring that I made inquiries with staff a year ago, and that in dealing with this. It was the fall that they came back and said, finally, yes, we will do it, and it'll be implemented in February.
Okay, I stand correct.
I went away thinking, great, February. I told the residents it's going to be there February.
I stand correct.
February 28th, my office got a call. Where's the sign?
Okay.
Okay, so if it's April 11th, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, there was some misclarification on that we actually dealt with the in-camera item with the report when we dealt with the report If you missed that, I'm prepared to move the motion again. It was moved by Mahoney and second from Fonseca, and we'll have the record of it here if there's any clarification. So is everybody in favor of me doing that? Opposed? Let me show a sign of hands. All those in favor of the bylaw? Carried.
We're looking for in favor of.
Okay, we need a motion to move forward for Peel Living. Would someone like to move that? A motion so we could deal with Peel Living?
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor, the time difference? Carried. I'll turn it back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item we have, good morning, is declarations of conflicts of interest. Seeing none, I have before me approval of the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting held on February 28th. It's moved by Councillor Crombie and seconded by Councillor Carlson. Comments or questions? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Yeah, we did. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, okay. Move the waiving of the time. Yeah, we did that, but he just wants me to make sure that it's done, so. Okay, it's moved and waived. Approval of the agenda, moved by Councillor Toby, seconded by Councillor Sanderson. Any changes? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's carried, thank you. We have no delegations today. We have a number of reports. The first report is E1. It's a document 2012-472N HVAC services at various Peel Living locations. It's moved by Councillor Mahoney, seconded by Councillor Ionica. Councillor Tovey.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Mr. Chair, I was wondering if I could just get a better understanding of this particular report. Originally, I guess we had a cost of $150,000, and now it looks like it's gone up considerably. Could someone explain that to me?
Yeah. So the once we parted ways with the original contractor, who was Synergy, we awarded it to Carmichael on a temporary basis so that we can continue the service. We were anticipating that we would be finished with that temporary arrangement by December, so we estimated the $150,000 as the initial contract with Carmichael. So, however, between August, when we terminated the other contract, we went into a whole issues around performance that we had to deal with, and Carmichael had to correct some of those things, and that put in a bit of an extra cost. We also decided to review the scope that we had originally used to award the previous contractor, so that we make sure that when we go back to the market, we don't run into some of the same issues. And so we've allowed ourselves a little bit more time, and hopefully by the end of April, starting May, we will award a new contractor based on new terms of reference, new scope. In the meantime, we were asking for permission to extend the relationship we now have with Carmichael on a temporary basis until that time, which
right,
is why the cost.
So the original estimate of the contract was $150,000, but they had to come in and I guess assumedly redo a bunch of work from the previous contractor. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess this would have been not a tendered. This contract, this would be a sole source contract in effect. This particular one,
yeah,
because of the time restrictions. I understand that.
That's correct. But they were also the second lowest bidder at the time when we originally bid for it. So we just kind of went down the list. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Mariga. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Next item is the overview of Peel Living's insurance costs for information. It's been moved by Councillor Fonseca, seconded by Councillor Moore. I have a question. Can you tell me what, in reading the whole report, and I must have misread it somewhere, but I can't see anywhere in here where that actually says what our insurance cost is. It tells me about overages and underages and but there's nowhere in here where it actually says what the premium is.
Just go ahead and say. Sorry, I'll have John McDonald will answer that. He's our insurance.
We talked about back in 2009 where it was 1.17 and 1.6, but
so for the policy runs from November 1st to November 1st, and the premium for that for this year is a 1.34 million.
1.34 million?
Yes.
So in future, could we put actually what the cost, is that, am I missing it in the report somewhere?
No, it wasn't included in the report.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should include what the actual price is next time. Okay, any other comments or questions? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, oh, sorry, one other one. What's our do we have different deductibles on this?
Currently, it's $25,000 for property damage to our assets and $25,000 for third-party claims against the Peel Housing.
And what is the advantage to us in increasing that? Like, I know in our municipality, I think it's the same in the others. Because of the soaring insurance costs, we look at the amount of claims we had, and we now look at maybe increasing our deductible in order to save on our premium costs. Did
exactly.
We look at that?
And we did look at that as well. So every year we look at increasing the deductibles of what the offsetting premium savings would be and how that would impact our deductible expenditures. And we decide from there what deductible levels to maintain.
Okay, and the next time this comes back, can we get that breakdown? 'Cause
Sure.
I don't remember seeing that scenario when we initially did it. So looking to the fall, if we're renewing before November 2013, can we see where how the scale is and where we save on individual items?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And it'll give also the amount of claims that we've had to
Yes.
show us where, okay, all right, you know what I'm asking you?
Yes.
Okay, thanks very much. All those in favor? That's carried, thank you. Item number 3 is a business efficiency update on non-rental revenue. It's moved by Councillor Dale, seconded by Councillor Thompson, sorry. I'm trying to get you all in here. Councillor Toby.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I was really delighted with this report. I'd like to compliment staff for doing a terrific job, and seeing our non-rental revenue is a great indicator as opposed to other municipalities, and the fact that we're actually going to be increasing our $18,000 a year to $40,000 annually with the rooftop solar program. I think that's outstanding. I just wanted to compliment staff for their terrific work. Thank you.
Good. I compliment them also. Excellent. Excellent report, actually. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Long-term care service accountability agreement for Vera M. Davis Community Care Center. Moved by Councillor Foley, seconded by Mayor Morrison. Comments or questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Tenant experience update on successful tenancies policy. It's here for information. Moved by Councillor Mullen, seconded by Councillor Starr. Comments or questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We have no communications in camera matters. Other business, we have a resolution regarding the appointment of Deputy Secretary. It's moved by Councillor Sprovieri, seconded by Councillor Tovey. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Move adjournment. Moved by Councillor Carlson, seconded by Councillor Fonseca. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
I think your skin's still attached. It's a good move.
Moving back into council again, I have a motion then by Mahoney and Foley that the bylaw 29-213 to confirm the proceedings to regional council, its meeting held March 21st, 2013, be authorized to execute the documents in accordance with the regional bylaw relating thereto, given the required numbers of reading taken as read and signed by the regional chair and the regional clerk and the corporate seal fixed thereto. Are there any questions? If not, all those in favor? Carried. I have a motion then by Moore and Morrison that the March 21st, 2013 Regional Council meeting be adjourned. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
It's not here yet, but it's on its way.
Just before we leave, then lunch is on its way. It's not here yet, so you can go now and do all the talking you did in between the council meeting.
There are 13, and how many can they select?
One.
One.
Yes.
So make it a wise choice. These are your representatives. I want to thank the three gentlemen who are here with immense talent and have a lot to offer amongst a pool of candidates that have a lot to offer for the Peel District School Board. It was a popular topic. We wish we could have taken more calls, but thank you to those of you who did make it through and asked your great questions. And in the meantime, I want to wish the three of you the best of luck.
Thank you.
I'd like
Thank
to hear
you.
what happens. I'm going to thank Talal Khan, a grade 11 student, and Syed Cameron, grade 11 student, both from Gordon Graydon Memorial Secondary School, as well as Justin Lee, also a grade 11 student from Glen Forest Secondary School. That's it for today. I'm Niru Kumar, and please join us again next